Alright, well, I gotta apologize. It has been way too long since our last check-in here on Wired Hunt Weekly. And just to be honest, I've had a hard time keeping up with everything we're doing with the Wired Hunt podcast and the 100% Wild podcast and the blog and all the other different things I'm doing. And because of that, I've kind of slacked on the video side of things. But that's going to change now that the hunting season is upon us. I'm going to get back to that weekly schedule. And since our last check-in, a lot has happened. As some of you may know from following all those other things I just mentioned, I spent 2 weeks out west. 1 week was out there chasing whitetails in Montana. That was an awesome hunt. It was a successful hunt, and we're going to have a full episode dedicated to that coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. But also, since then, I also did an elk hunting trip, and then this past weekend, I was in Ohio for opening weekend down there. That was relatively uneventful, but did get some good intel a little bit. So, all that said though, today, what I want to focus on is the big event that's coming up in just a few short days for me, which is the opening day of archery season here in Michigan. And I'm really excited about that. More excited than I've been in a long time for a Michigan season because I've got a specific buck that I'm after that I've been watching now for 2 years, and I think there's a great chance of getting him. So that said, that's the plan today. I want to walk you through my game plan for hunting Holyfield here in the next couple days, show you a couple of the recent sightings I've had for him, and then we're going to head out tonight and do a little bit of long-range scouting. So if you follow Wired Hunt, the blog, you've probably seen a couple of recent articles I've done where I go into detail on the history with this buck Holyfield, how I've been studying past year's trail camera data, and how I've now taken some of these more recent sightings and kind of compiled all this type of information and analysis together to try to figure out how to hunt this buck. I'm not going to go through all that again because you can read those full articles and get all the scoop there. But I want to just give you the most recent thing, which is that over the past 9 days, I've had 3 different sightings of this deer. Now, from last year, I knew that he doesn't come onto my property until about September. So I didn't get any trail camera photos again this summer, just like last year, and I didn't see him at all this summer, just like last year. But when I got back from my western hunting trip, that second day home, I was out watching this area from the distance, and lo and behold, there he is back as a beautiful, big, 4-year-old 8-pointer here in Michigan, which is just a great buck for this area. So fast forward, I think 2 days later, I got a little bit of time to look out there again in the morning, and again I see Holyfield, this time heading into a neighboring bedding area. And then fast forward to yesterday, which was the 26th, I believe, and now I see him again feeding out in this bean field. So the footage isn't great really for any one of those because I am observing from a long distance, but by doing these kind of long distance scouting observation type sits, I'm able to learn a couple core and key things. And the biggest thing I'm trying to figure out is where is this buck bedded on different wind directions. Now, what I found is that these 2 different bedding areas I mentioned, I've got this front bedding area on the far west side, and then I've got this other bedding area that's kind of north and east of this food plot. It's right in the middle of the 2. He seems to be bedded in the front bedding area when there's some type of northerly wind, and he seems to be bedding on the back bedding area when there's some type of southerly wind. And then he's typically feeding into this bean field or this food plot that's right in between the 2. So that's kind of my running hypothesis of what he's doing. My game plan tonight is to sneak into that same area off the road, sit down on the edge of the beans with my camera and my binoculars, and watch. And again, just try to verify this theory. Is this what he's sticking to? Because if I can figure that out, then I can go in with very high confidence this coming Saturday on opening night, expecting and knowing where I think he's going to be bedded, which is going to help me figure out how I walk into that stand. It's going to help me know which stand I hunt because I've got 2 different potential hunting locations on this kind of middle food plot based on the wind and maybe based on some new intel I might gain tonight and in the coming days. So enough of this. Let's grab the gear, sneak out there and try to catch that last hour of daylight movement. Hopefully we'll see Holyfield. unfortunately was not able to get eyes on Holyfield tonight. Didn't really see much activity at all till right at last light. Saw a number of deer filter out of that food plot, but it was just too dark to tell whether there was a buck or a doe or anything. So kind of bummed, but you're not going to see him every night. So I've got a few more evenings before opening day, so I'm going to try to get out at least once, maybe twice more, and try to watch from afar. Maybe learn a little bit more, but if not, I still feel like I've got a good plan in place for opening night. 1 or 2 stand locations, either tree stand or ground blind, depending on the wind, and hopefully Holyfield will cooperate. You never know. Mature bucks tend to take your best laid plans and make you look foolish, but I've got high hopes for this one. So probably the next time we come at you with a video, we'll know the outcome, and hopefully it's good news. So until then, I guess, cross your fingers.